when you go on a sabbatical, you're prettier. You look better.
Oh, wake up, rethink the status quo. When you get your money right, then you're the one who runs your life. Come build a wealthy spirit with Sammy and Michelle.
We are never, ever, ever going back to work.
Sammy Swift. Love it.
JK, we will go back to work. In fact, I may have been working on a cover letter today, in fact.
It totally compromises our whole episode topic.
But we will say that when you go on a sabbatical, your entire mindset shifts. People tell you you're going to be different, but you don't realize how different you're going to be. The building blocks of your life have completely changed, and that's what we want to talk about today.
Yes. We're not here to talk about quiet quitting or lazy girl jobs, things that are like anti-work. We want to focus on the benefits that you can get when you are able to take a moment and just reflect, whether that's on a sabbatical, a pause in a minute. And for us, we wanted to share why we have started to think about work differently.
After a sabbatical, you're not going to go back to work the same because both the office has changed and you have changed.
A man has never stepped in the same river twice, Sammy. I see what you're getting at. Let's get into it. But first, speaking of sabbaticals, Toby and I are running our sabbatical cohort once again. You can join us this summer for what will be another amazing opportunity to connect with like-minded people in this transitional phase between work and sabbatical, to find ways to experiment and have fun and really get aligned with your values. Our goal is to help create a sabbatical that is a positive experience for you. Check out the link in our show notes to learn more.
Now back to today's topic.
Reasons why I'll never go back to work. Drama!
It's dramatic, but it's kind of true. Yes, we might go back to work, but we're definitely not going back to work in the same way. And that's because a sabbatical changes every fiber of your being.
Sammy, I have talked to so many people about sabbaticals, work breaks, this liminal space in their life where they've maybe left their job, maybe they've decided they want to transition, maybe they were forced out like me, they lost their job, but they realized that what they've been doing for the last 10, 15, 20 years is actually no longer what they want to be doing. And the thing that I now laugh about, having seen people go through leaving work, taking a sabbatical, is that when they start, we all have the same limited mindset of, oh, we will go back to the same place. We will be the same person. And in reality, there are so many transformations that happen. And that's why I'm so excited about this topic today.
It's so true, Michelle. When I first got on my sabbatical, I was like, maybe I'll go back to a similar type of job or less hours, or maybe I'll go back and work only remotely.
And truly, Sammy, in some iterations, you actually said, maybe I will go back to the exact same job in the exact same desert.
It wasn't a terrible job. All of those things went through my mind. But the thing is, at some point in my sabbatical, everything just completely changed. The thing is, when you go on a sabbatical, you get to be more in alignment with your values. At least that is what has happened in my case. According to a values quiz that we enjoy, we'll link to it in the show notes, spirituality is my number one value. When I was working, I really did not have a lot of time for it. I mean, I was helping people, so maybe there's some spiritual aspect to that, but really I was not having a lot of time to do the inner work, the undoing of the karma, the reversing the samskars. It's all very important to me. Now, especially in the last month or so, I get to spend like almost an hour doing spiritual work, meditating, listening to Byron Katie, doing Byron Katie worksheets, listening to A Course in Miracles, sometimes going to the classes that they have here. And it has completely shifted my entire perspective. I'm much more aware of what I see as the greater purpose of life and just being here in the moment and not being consumed by delusions all the time. Delusions being various ingrained thought patterns just layered on top of each other. because of that, I can't fathom going back to work in a way where I won't have time for myself.
What I really want to highlight with what you're saying, Sammy, because I think it's so important, is that being able to take a sabbatical in both of our cases allowed us to really sit with the things that are going on in our life, not our work life, and get in touch with our values and realign ourselves with our values. That's something that I think people don't realize. Taking a break from work, it doesn't solve your problems. It gives you more time, though, to sit with them. And that might sound scary, but actually what I have found is a similar thing to you, Sammy. I'm actually able to recreate my life in a way that's aligned with my values. For me, personal growth is a really big one. Inner peace is a really big one. And when I left my job in sales, I was peak stressed out. I was having nightmares about my job because it was just such a high pressure environment and I really felt like I wasn't doing well. But I was able to take some time off, breathe, just not feel anxious. And that to me was really valuable and something that when I'm choosing work now, I do like to make sure it's something that grows me, and I want to make sure it's something that's not causing me unnecessary anxiety, especially if it's not something I don't think is worthwhile.
Now, here's the unsaid benefit that people don't talk about, but I'm sure if they talked about it, more people would be on a sabbatical. And that is, when you go on a sabbatical, you're prettier. You look better. You're physically more attractive. You look younger. I reversed aged. It's funny because Google actually sent me a little video collage that they did because sometimes, I'm taking selfies. And I definitely look way younger now than I did when I was working, which is crazy to me. But I did see that and think to myself, yeah, I'm definitely not going to work in the same way because it just doesn't make any sense. Like, why would I go to work and be ugly? It's completely unnecessary.
Sammy, I love how you wrapped up our bullet point, looking out for myself, and really highlighted a benefit, which is being able to take care of yourself and look beautiful. Here's the thing, especially in an environment like the United States of America, which we love, there's a heavy emphasis on how important and how amazing and how valuable your job is. In fact, your status is attached to your job. You are doing amazing things and you should sacrifice yourself, your sleep, your health. Don't do those things. Work more. In fact, if you work more, maybe we might not pay you more, but maybe we'll promote you. And
then you can pay for Botox, lip fillers, your face lifted, all the things.
Okay, once again, we're focused on the looks, but really it's about looking out for yourself. I think this is also true for health. Like, I can work out more because I can now go to the gym more often. I can cook more often instead of ordering food. I'm not stress eating because I was so stressed out. And this isn't inherent necessarily to every single job. It's just that I know I had put myself in a situation where I was on the hamster wheel and not prioritizing myself, not looking out for myself, because I thought that I was really buying into this notion that the job I was doing was so important. And I was in software sales. I was not even in healthcare like Sammy.
I say the pretty thing, and it's 100% true. So I don't want people to just ignore that. I know what motivates people.
Imagine everyone who's listening to this podcast is like, I want to look good. I'm going to leave my job. If that is what motivates you, 100% do it. 100% is true.
It's like, why do people wear sunscreen? Yes, cancer. But number one is they don't want to be wrinkly. And that's what motivates people. And that's what motivates me. I'm not going to lie. But yes, of course, the reason you're prettier is because you can hydrate properly. I'm exercising multiple times a day. I got my labs back. And let me tell you, I saw them and thought, I'm in family med, so I do these kind of labs all the time. These are some of the best labs I've ever seen. My A1C was 5.1. For me, that's the best I've been. And my insulin level was 1. I'm like, 1? That is so low. How wonderful. My body is well lubricated. It's a well-oiled machine right now. My vision improved so much so that I had to go get new glasses and decrease the strength because I didn't need to be wearing these strong glasses all the time. And I can definitely see the physical changes. I'm more muscular. I think it's only a matter of time before the abdominal muscles come in. Not working just drastically improves your health. And for me, it improved my health in a very, very good way.
I want to put this in contrast too, Sammy, because we're a bit lighthearted here, right? We're talking about the benefits, looking out for yourself. But literally a year ago, you are in the hospital having surgery to get your thyroid removed. And I remember you saying then, at least it's nice to have time off. Like, it's
so sad.
So I think that, like, yes, like just being able to take care of yourself is so important. And I think what happens if you're able to take a pause and you're able to step away from work for a little bit is you can redefine how you're going to prioritize yourself when you do go back to work, which is so amazing. Like, I remember when I went to get my first job out of college, and they could really ask me to do anything because I just desperately needed a job. And I think I've kept that energy throughout my corporate life, even after I didn't necessarily have to stay at that company or I could afford to switch jobs. It just felt like everything was dire, like I had to say yes to everything. And now I think I'm going to be much more cognizant about the hours that I work, about whether or not I'm interested in the project, but whether or not my health is going to be compromised because of the role that I'm taking. And of course, if I'm going to look uglier after this.
It completely makes sense that our approach to work is going to shift throughout our lives. But the thing is, when we're working all the time, we sometimes don't have time to think about how we want that to shift. When I was in my late teens, early 20s, and I'm thinking about getting a job, I thought, I want to help people. And I want to make money because I didn't have any money. You know, that was pretty important. I needed to make money. I went to college. I definitely want to
pay off those student loans.
Pay off those student loans and make this a worthwhile investment.
Yeah. That's like hitting your Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? Like, I need to feed myself. I need to pay for my rent. I remember when I started my first full-time job, I overdrafted and I was like, oh, crap. You know, that's a different mindset to be in. And so I agree with you. Like, we don't necessarily transition from that as we grow in our workplace and as we're starting to contribute more and make more money and start to get more comfortable.
And now I appreciate no matter what kind of job I'm going to do, I'm going to help people. So I don't even have to include that in the job because I naturally have a tendency to maybe not mind my own business sometimes and help people. So I don't need to be like I need to do the most service-oriented job. It's going to happen anyway. Also, money is way less of a factor. And your approach to work should change when the amount of money that you need changes. Because of course you're willing to work 40, 50, 60, 70, 80-hour weeks when you don't have money. But you should not be doing that when you do have money. Because you also have to care about your own well-being.
Sammy, I think that's the reason why I'm so passionate about the things that we talk about on this podcast. Because we've highlighted before, we didn't necessarily have the best personal finance education. Like, we came from a family that was trying to figure it out and pay the bills every month. And outside of investing in my 401k, which was really great advice, I didn't know much about what to do with my money or budgeting or saving. And what we realized over time when we discovered things like financial independence, when we started to able to access some of this education, is actually we really believe a lot of other people could easily pick up, understand, apply these lessons, and create a life that's aligned with them. At the end of the day, it's not about leaving your job, taking a break, never going back to work. That's not everybody's goal. But we do want to empower people to give them a strong financial foundation so they can do the things that are important to them.
Takeaways.
Takeaways for this episode.
So Sammy and I, maybe we will be going back to work. Actually, technically, I'm working.
Michelle is working. Yes. We don't want to be lying here.
But there are so many things that I appreciate about the work I do now versus the work I used to do. Part of that is because when you're able to just take a moment and pause, it doesn't even have to be a proper work break, and think about what are your values. Take the value quiz. We'll put it in our show notes. Is your life currently aligned with that? Or have you shifted your values to be more with what the corporate wants, with the status, the titles, the big houses, the big cars? If you love those things, you love those things, but you might not, and you might be working towards something that's not very important to you. Taking a break will surprisingly help you refocus on your values.
Second, when you take a break, you look out for yourself. You're healthier. You're more beautiful, inside and out. And that will change your perspective on how you approach work as well.
Yeah, Sammy's vision is literally better.
Yes.
Which is kind of crazy to think about. Her literal vision and her vision for the future.
My spiritual visions. All my visions are better.
Also, really to tie this all together, the same man never steps in the same river twice because the man has changed and the river has changed. That is why the same man does not step into the same corporate office twice because the man has changed and the corporate office is now remote. But seriously, I think we spend so much time doing the thing that we set ourselves up for when we were 18, maybe 16, maybe younger. And we'll get into our 20s, our 30s, our 40s, our 50s and beyond, and we'll still be working as if those were the same goals we had. And if you can take a moment, reflect, if you can take a sabbatical, that's even more amazing. I think what you'll find is that you're actually going to change what you want in your next role, whether it's the specific job title, the hours you're working, what you're willing to give an employer, what you're willing to sacrifice on your end. It might surprise you.
Community time.
Before we say goodbye, it's our community time. And speaking of spirituality, Michelle and I were coming home from church this past week. And as we were walking up the stairs, we had an incident.
Oh, yeah. This young man was coming down the stairs.
Looking lost.
I don't think he lived there. And he paused next to us on the stairs and he said, "Hey, do you ladies use Apple Music, Spotify?" We said, "Of course. We listen to music. We use these apps." And he said, "Hey, if you want, would you check out my music?" And so he showed us his phone and his name was Wisdom.
He was Wisdom, interacting with us on the stairs. I mean, it was a spiritual synchronicity amongst synchronicities.
Sammy and I thought the same thing. And it was funny because he had bandages on his face and he was like, "Sorry, I got in a fight last night." And we were like, wow. And both Sammy and I, we came back to the house and we were like, wow, bruised and battered, Wisdom came into our lives.
That's the kind of attitude you have when you're on sabbatical. Everything is different. You're not thinking, is somebody loitering in my apartment complex? No, you're thinking, Wisdom has found me on the staircase. Life is amazing. Heaven is here on earth in every moment.
Let us know. Have you taken a work break? Have you taken a sabbatical, a pause, even just like reflected and pivoted your career? What were some things that stuck out to you? What are some changes that you're like, okay, maybe I'll go back to work, but it's going to look differently this time? builditwhatthespirit.com. You can leave a comment or respond to our newsletter email. We would love to hear from you.
And most importantly, be sure to join us next time as we put down the rulebook and rethink the status quo.